Hello, everyone. I want to welcome you here. Originally, I was going to record a video for today because it's Tuesday, but I felt called to come on here. I feel like there's so much I want to catch you guys up with. I felt called to do a Q&A, which is basically, just us asking questions if there's any questions that you have. And just connecting. That's what felt really good because I was like looking at all the things to record and I'm like, no, today is going to be a day that I want to connect with community. So let me know where you're tuning in from. We're live on TikTok, we're live here. And I trust that whatever that we share here, whatever we connect with, is for whoever feels aligned. So let me know if you're live. Let me know where you're tuning into, how you're feeling, what's coming up for you. As I poof my hair. I drink some water. It's scorching hot out here. I'm loving it. Like summer is officially here and I am so in love with it. So I just want to share that with you guys. But yeah, let me know. Tune in. Where are you tuning in from? We're just going to flow. We're going to chat. We're going to catch up. So much to catch you up with. So much for you to catch me up with. And I'm really excited. I haven't been live for a hot minute on YouTube and I haven't been on TikTok at all. So it feels really good to be back. There's so much, like I said, to catch you up with, but I first want to invite you, if it feels called to you, to give the space, the channel some love, share with your friends, family, and feel free to put any questions that you have. It can be questions about your healing. It can be questions about retreats. It can be questions about anything that comes up for you. This is a space where I get to answer that for you. I'm not doing any personal readings, though. I just want to let you guys know that because sometimes people are like, can I have a reading, Shika? I'm not doing any readings. It's just more of conversation and support. So feel free to ask along. But while you are putting your questions in the comments, and for those of you watching the replay on YouTube, you can just let me know and I'll do another Q&A. I'll write them down. I'll answer them. So excited. Okay, so much to update you with it. The last month has been deep medicine retreats. I am in such deep gratitude. I'm not sure for those of you who've been around since last year, and again, feel free to put the questions in the Q&A down below and introduce yourself if this is your first live. But I ended up doing the Earth Dharma program. It has been honestly such a beautiful journey. These such dedicated souls have been going through the hero's journey, which I like to call the journey that each and every single one of us have experienced, where we have a big life change. It could be, an awakening. It could be a separation. It could be a life job change. It could be whatever it is. And I call it the hero's journey because it's literally you are your own hero through that process. And for me, my hero's journey happens multiple times. Yours does as well. And they are going to the depths of meeting every single part of them that they've avoided in their life. And this is the warrior work. This is the deep work. And I really was just talking to a great sister of mine, a medicine carrier that's as well. And she was mentioning about how the last few years have really woke people up, and I've gotten so many emails from you all and messages of you sharing that the last few years were like a big awakening for you, or maybe you started your awakening, or maybe you had another one around that time. And I honestly think it's just going to become even multiplied even more in the next years to come. And it brings me to that next, perspective of, we really can't unsee it. You guys know that I put a lot of information, fam, on the moons and the cycles and all those things. But honestly, I will say that the deepest wisdom I receive from all of that is that those who are really in embodiment and sovereignty, now is the time. Like more than ever, now is the time. And we're really seeing it in our loved ones. We're seeing it in their neighbors. We're seeing it in strangers. We're seeing with those that we work with are those who are choosing not to see the veil and those who choose not to. And there's no judgment. And I think that's something that as we are on our journey, as we start to awaken deeper and deeper into our inner truth, is not to judge people. And I want to share this really deep wisdom I shared with my students in the Earth Driver program, but also those who attended the retreat about almost 2 weeks ago. And this is this idea that when you go through this awakening, there's a part of our spiritual ego that comes in. And when I say spiritual ego, hello, Maya. When I say spiritual ego, what I mean by that is that, and as I said that, sirens are going off, which means listen up to all of you. This is a very important message and it keeps coming up for a reason. So I want to share it here with you to support you. And how many of you have had this experience where you see loved ones and you consider them at a high frequency, a low frequency, or maybe that they're not woken or awakened, or they're really connected or attached to a certain belief or whatever it is? We all have. Put up our hands. We all have. And I'm just going to pretend like I see you. I can feel you though. Just let me know. Put a hand emoji up in the comments. And I think this is one of the biggest pivots that we keep meeting. And it's one of the most humbling experiences that I feel like every single soul, every one of us goes through. And the reason why is because, for example, that hero's journey that you've experienced, that could have been a life change that was unexpected. It could have been a passing of someone that you loved and care about. It could have been a health concern or maybe a health thing that came up. Whatever it is that really put life on pause, what made you feel like everything slowed down and you were forced to slow down the brakes, put the emergency brakes on, and things started to change rapidly for you. It's that tower moment you receive. And as we have those tower moments and we start to awaken more of our truth, it makes us kind of feel like the people that we once knew don't understand us, don't get us. I get it. I would remember I would have friends that I was like, I don't feel like they understand me. I don't really feel like they get me or know where I'm coming from. And all this to say is, as we sat on the table after sitting a 𝐾𝐨𝐲 ceremony last week in retreat, with these amazing souls who have dedicated, and they have sat 2 𝐾𝐨𝐲 ceremonies. So their dedication, they're open. By day 2, almost day 3, you are so open. You are so sensitive. And as humans, we already are. But it's like when you sit with 𝐾𝐨𝐲, it's removing all the parts of us that we've now hidden and created this kind of like hard shell to protect ourselves from this world. Right? To protect ourselves from loved ones, people out there, strangers, the perspectives and judgments, whatever it is, whatever things that we feel like we need to protect ourselves from. And as we sat there, one of them said, I find it really hard to see my loved ones in a lower frequency. And how do you be around people when you're at a higher frequency? And I took in those words. I took in everything that they shared. I took in all of the things that tuned in. And I took a breath. And I'm curious to know your thoughts, even replay if you want to share. When you hear those words, what's the first thing you think of? Is that something you fully agree with? Say full body yes or no. Is that something that you're just like, I don't know? Or is that something that you're kind of like, I agree with that, I disagree. Just, there's no judgment, whatever that you're feeling in that. So as I breathed into her words of seeing these loved family members as they are going through this big transformation, I said, what if there is no such thing as lower and higher frequency? And they paused. Everyone at the table watched and kind of looked. I said, what if there's no such thing as it? Maybe that is something that we've created based on a paradigm and as a kind of a system. Let's take it back a little bit. When you go to school, when you do an assignment, what do? They put you in A plus, B, all the way F to E, right? They mark you that way, right? When you go into applying for a job, what's the first thing they do? They look at your resume and your qualifications. Based on that, they decide how much you're worth to pay you X, Y amount, right? When you go on a date, or you're going on online dating, or you meeting someone at the bar, or whatever it is, right? What is the first thing that happens? You ask them, what do they do? What is their job? You ask them questions based on your criteria, right? So the reason why I'm saying these examples is that we are always without knowing, conditioned to a judgment based on our generational programming, our ancestral programming, and the programming of our spirit and soul based on our experiences. And as we do this healing, whether it's sitting with plants, Kambo, doing moon cycle meditations, listening to the energy updates, whatever it is, right? As we're doing these deep, deep healings, we tune in to open a space. Thanks, Paula. I'm so deep in my channel. So when we tune into that space and we connect, right? I was thinking my thought and I got distracted. We are constantly perceiving that person in a certain way, or that group of people, or those energies, or some people will say entities. Entities is really energies. It's an energy of which is something, right? So we are energies, entities, beings. We have to think of it that way, right? When we use those energies, it's different. So when I look at it in that way, then it brings me to that another layer of that question. And I go back to that same question. How can I be around my loved ones when they are at a lower, higher frequency? Stick with what you connected with, stick to what was true, whatever was in your body. And when I tuned into that and I connected with that, what came up was we were all walking this path. Every single one of you watching this right now. Think of us going on this path. Some of us are starting that run, that walk, that jog, that skip, whatever that we're doing right now. Some of us are starting it 20 years ago. Some of us are starting 30 years ago, from the human plane line, whatever that looks like to us. But what if we are all running, walking, pausing, whatever we need to do on this path, and all we know is there's a beginning, there's an end, and there's a possibility that even at that end, there's more to come, and even the beginning doesn't exist. But all this to say is we are all on this journey. So when we look at lower and higher frequency, what I'm really listening to is that there are some people that are running with me, running ahead of me, running behind me, but it doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean that person's worth is less or more, right? I might see someone running behind me. I'm not looking at them saying, you're a lower frequency. And I'm saying this with love, that we're all learning in this experience, because I know I used to say the same thing. And it wasn't until that humbling lesson came through where I was just like, wait a minute, that person behind me also has worth. You are significant. You are worthy as well. But when we start to step into our journey and really don't judge people or judge things or judge their perspectives, rather hold the deepest love, even when we can look at suffering in our eyes, to our eyes directly, whoever is in that suffering, whoever is in that pain, whoever decides to make a decision that might not align with your values or beliefs. Does that mean that that person is less of? How would you feel that person would feel if they were receiving those same words, right? So the reason why I share this to you is because of a reason, and I don't need to know, but it's something that came up, and I just want to invite you that if you are in your journey and you're finding it really hard to connect with people around you, that we're always constantly tested. Me, myself as well. We're always constantly tested to say, how are we judging? Where does this judgment come from? Where in my programming and in my blueprint have I been taught to separate that person, judge that person, put that person in a box, receive that person that way, because of the way I was brought up, because of my traumas, because of my experiences? And when we start to look at it that way, we see every single being as their most innocent being, as a childlike being. We see every single person with their value and who they are and their essence. And we stop judging them and we just see them as they are. And that is the biggest secret sauce that this world probably is trying to distract you from, is the idea that we need to judge everything, including ourselves, to keep ourselves separate and make ourselves feel different. And when we start to remove separationism and start to tap into patternism, programism, if you want to call it that. That is where we are healing for you, me, and all collected. So when we receive that, and if again, I want to say, like, it's so funny because I remember last week we had a 𝐿𝐤 ceremony, and one of the people that attended and came to the ceremony at the retreat, it was a week-long retreat. It was amazing. It was beautiful lands. And I'm pouring them the water for the 𝐿𝐤. And I just looked at them and I said, hey, don't be afraid to receive. Let me pour that for you. You just got to sit and heal. And for them, it was like almost like, oh my gosh, I can receive. And that's why I love holding space and being a plant medicine, but also a 𝐿𝐤 facilitator. Because when I work with the herbs and the bush medicine and the 𝐿𝐤, one of the biggest things I learn is that everyone's patterns, we look at it not when people are in retreat for that week. It's in the mundane tasks you do. It's the way you wake up, it's the way you take your shower, it's the way you brush your teeth. These are your biggest ceremonies every single day. And that's why I always tell people when they leave the ceremony, when they leave that retreat, your biggest process, your biggest experience is honestly when you leave and you live life. Because the reality is isolation is not living. Isolation is not living, which brings me to why the past few years have been so potent for a lot of people. And the result of that is because we were stripped away from living and experiencing. And where we're going to be moving forward in healing is, I'm channeling a lot, right? It's a Q&A. Bring in the questions. There's a reason you guys are receiving it. But, when you are tuning into that, we have to understand that everything in our way is a distraction as to why you shouldn't be living a free, peaceful life. So I want you to ask yourself, whenever you feel strife, whenever you feel pain, whenever you feel exhausted, whenever you're like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do, tune into, number one, are you judging yourself? Is there a judgment program that is within you? 2, where am I not allowing myself to receive or let go? Is there an imbalance or non-harmonization? Is there something in my environment within myself that is causing me to be in that space? Then we go into 3, generational ancestral healing, which I'm going to be doing a video all on this. I was just channeling a whole bunch of things for you, so I'm so excited. Make sure you all keep in touch and follow along. 3, which is generational. We tune into the pattern that we look at based on the people who brought us up, based on the people who are around us the most, right? So that 3 is like going into that. Then we go into tracking that pattern, right? And this is something that I teach my students in the Earth Dharma. This is what I do myself, is we're tracking patterns. That's what you need to tune into. Away from stories, tracking patterns, right? Because humans, we don't like change. We're told we don't like change. May I say that? Change that. We're told we don't like change. But really, we're changing and evolving beings, and everything in this world is preventing you from believing that you actually are meant to change. You're told to stay comfortable and saying that change is bad or change is uncertain. But actually, that is the biggest experience of life. And that's where we are really being taught. The last few years has brought uncertainty to bring you into your knowing of certainty. What I mean by that is not to rely on other energies outside of yourself to follow your own. I had a beautiful experience with one of the attendees that came to the retreat a week ago. And they were at the peak of the 𝐿𝐤 medicine. I was moving a lot of energy with them. They were really opening a lot of their channels. And I won't go into details because I respect their privacy. I don't share people's experiences. That is something that is only within the retreat. And in this process, what I can share is a lesson from this. And they shared something, and it was a boundary that that came through for them. And I looked at them and I said, I am so happy at the end of their ceremony that you shared that, because that was a reclamation of your throat. That was a reclamation of your voice. And I think that's very important, that we offer a space, a safe space of healing, which is a whole other thing that I have a video coming up on that more and more. And that's a conversation that I've also been receiving more. For those of you who might not know, I I'm so grateful that I've been able to connect and sit with amazing elders and medicine carriers to help me heal. And I am so humbled and honored to share these amazing retreats that are happening this year and next year, co-creating with some amazing beings. I'm leaving in a week from now to go down to Peru to work with the Shipibo for quite a while and co-facilitate. And I'm so excited and honored. Um, but I also have the 𝐤𝐤𝐤 that's happening within Brazil. We get to sit with the 𝐤𝐤𝐤 tribe. Amazing tribe in Brazil, beautiful medicine. And it's my first time actually meeting them. So if anyone's interested in coming and joining me on that venture, we're leaving the first week of October. All this is on my website, by the way. You can go check that out. But the reason why I'm saying this is because these medicines have taught me everything that is in me. And I think that's one of the biggest things I can share with people is whether it's a plant medicine, a modality, it should mirror back to you. And in this process with this attendee that came to this retreat and I was facilitating for them, hi, Ruth. One of the things that came up for them was that reclamation of their voice and being able to fully receive the wisdom of the elders of the medicine. And through this process, I saw people walk in with allergies, not being able to. One of them couldn't eat anything. They were allergic to grains, all the things. And by day 3 was eating things that they've never eaten in a while because their body had so much memory in the body from trauma that it couldn't even process the food. And on top of that, then you add habits and patterns, eating sweet things and whatnot, which causes a lot of yeast in the body. And when that happens, it's hard for us to absorb nutrients. And then we have parasites. And instead of you craving chocolate cake, it's actually the parasites that are craving chocolate cake. So it was a beautiful story that happened with one of them. Another one, this was the first time of them going into a deep container after giving birth to their little one, their first child. And it was so beautiful to witness and support them on their journey as they sat with 𝐥𝐤𝐤 and sat with the herbs and the plant medicine ceremony. And wow, like they look different. Their eyes look different. I always say the eyes are the entrance to the soul. If you don't know this, like look at your eyes and tune into the energy of your eyes, right? So much is said in the eyes, right? And it was so beautiful to witness that. So I just want to share that wisdom with you. Again, feel free to ask any questions. I'm just going to check on TikTok and hear if there's any questions that you may have. As it is a Q&A, as much as I love chatting with you, but I want it to be back and forth. Feels good to receive and be given things. Yes. You got to receive and also give, right? It's a balance. Doing my best not to view it as high, low, but rather two different places. Yes. So it's tuning into just like, or is it two different places, right? That's another thing, Miss Nay. Like when we were going back to our discussion about high and low frequency and family members, and when we're talking about, are they in two different places or are they just choosing to be in this present place at that present decision and that present choice, right? That's another thing too. People can be in different places in different dimensions as we are, right? Beings. But it's also like it's a choice at the end of the day, right? It's a choice for someone to decide something that they know is going to harm their health, that is going to hurt themselves emotionally, right? And no matter how much helping hands they have, and that's why I teach my students in the Earth Dharma, I'm always teaching them, I'm saying that like, if your intention is to help save someone, you're not helping them heal. Because in that space, you're trying to save them. And you're saving them more to heal than you are supporting them to teach themselves how to heal. And when people start to tune into, thanks so much, start to tune into healing themselves, knowing that every single one of you have the ability. That's why I always say in my one-on-ones or when I work with people with 𝐿𝐴, I always say that you're healing yourself, number one. And I allow them to agree to know that I am not the one that is doing it. It's you that is stepping into that, right? I may give you all the herbs, all the bush medicines to work with, all the past life regressions, the Akashic records, the healing, the Reiki, the Kambo, all of the stuff, like the abundance of stuff I will give. But at the same time, if you don't take it, it's just like when people complain about scarcity and abundance, which we have the Lionsgate happening in August. It's one of my favorite times of the year. My Leo moon loves it. And I always say that if you if you decide to reject abundance, then no one can help you because you're rejecting self, right? It's the same thing. The abundance of healing, everything is energy. The moment you start, and that's one of the biggest things that plant medicine has helped me with, healing has helped me, my path has helped me with this, working with the unseen, doing the work of the healing, and the shadow work, which is the most important part. This is what it all derives from, is the shadow work, so you can step into your authentic light. And I just laugh because as I tune into that, if it wasn't for those plant allies, if it wasn't for me doing that work, I simply would have just been looking at something and bypassing and numbing and ignoring and complaining and all the things. But we all have a choice to do that, right? So if there is something that you're unsatisfied with, even if you feel like you're wrapped in, I know right now the world is in such deep suffering in many ways. This conversation has been something I've talked about. And yes, it's tuning into our prayers and helping each other out. But I'll tell you a really beautiful story to catch up with you. I have a very dear loved one right now who's recovering from a very, very deep healing. And for me, that's made me feel like $1,000,000 seeing them take the herbs and the advice and consultations and seeing them do it for themselves. It has filled me up more than anything can buy. And that's when you know, number one, your heart is in something, and two, that you're in the right place at the right time and that you are meant to do what you're doing. When people ask me, how do you find your purpose? And da, 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 I'm just like, it's a feeling that you just know. And today was a big win for me, getting to visit this family member and seeing and checking in with them. How are they doing with their protocol? How are they doing with their healing? Them talking about the resistance that's coming up, having that time to integrate, checking in, right? But at the same time, I am not saying, okay, you gotta come on, open your mouth, time to take the medicine. No, no, no. It is their decision to do so. I will give them what they need to do. But in no way, if I were to hold the worry of every single person I help, or any of you that are here receiving the channel messages or the support on the videos, I would be so depleted. I wouldn't be able to wake up. I wouldn't be able to do anything that I'm doing right now. And also, if I didn't have the support I do, I have people who help and support me. So my energy is in a line, whether that's community, whether it's my loved ones. They're the ones that really help me do what I can do. I can't do it alone, and neither can you, no matter what you are and where you are on that marathon path together, right? So I just want to share that a lot of the times we think that scarcity, we have been taught this whole space is all about the material. And I know that's our generational and our programming, but just remind yourself that a lot of this is just for show. Okay. Just keep what's true is in here. And I need to remind myself of that all sometimes. I'm like, sometimes I'm like, it's all here. This is all that matters. And then when I go see a loved one that is in suffering and in pain and healing, or another loved one that is dying right now and crossing over, is transitioning, I feel this deep gratitude in life. And it makes me realize, wow, what in the world? What in the world was I thinking? I love your question, Just Dune. I'm going to respond in a second. So yeah, I just want to share that with you. I'm sharing it for a reason. I don't know if anyone resonates with that, but a rainbow emoji if you do, and what did you resonate with? I'm going to read some questions. If you have any Q&As, any questions, please let me know in the chat. Any herbs you suggest for anxiety working to come in survival mode? It depends. So the thing about herbs and plants, I want to just share with you, and I want to do more. This is why I want to do more videos on it. So Some herbs work best for some people and some don't, right? So if I were to tell every single person, use this herb, like for some people, it would work differently. However, I can intuitively share with you what would be aligned. Of course, these are all plants and herbs that are very supportive, but see what works best for you. When you talk about anxiety and survival mode, go deeper into what that looks like for you, what you've done before. The reason why I say this is because there's certain plants that have contradictions. There's certain plants that work well together, right? It's like putting a whole bunch of people in a room, and there's going to be some people who click and some that don't. It's nothing against the other, right? It's the same thing with plants in the body. So, for example, I might talk to 5 people and they may say that they have anxiety and deep stress and survival mode, but I might give each one of those 5 people a different plant to work with. So, if that's something you're interested in, again, I do work with people one on one where I don't only just do working with plants, herbal plants, and supporting you with that, but I also help with ancestral, generational, getting to the root, because a lot of our bodies have anxiety. For example, like what is the attachment with anxiety? Where does that come from? What are some things and fears that you are currently bringing your energy to, and your mind and your insight and your being is going to? I'm feeling it when I'm tuning into you directly. It's solar plexus on the right side of your body. It's also your third eye, right? So your inside of the world, the inside of self, those 2 areas, to look at that and to see if that's something that resonates with you. And just the way you talk to yourself, and feeling a ringing in my right ear. So again, I don't want to go too much into your energy. I'm also feeling a quivering of the lips of the anxiety that's coming in. But the plant that's coming up for me is St. John's wort. Really beautiful plant. Would highly suggest working with it. It's great for ADHD, anxiety, depression, mood swings. However, it's a very potent plant, so please go and check and see if you can align with it. If you have any liver and bladder issues, specifically like kidney and liver issues, I always say there's a borderline, right? So it depends, but I wouldn't suggest that plant. Is really potent. Also, if you're pregnant. So yeah, that's a beautiful plant. It's amazing for chronic pain, muscle spasms, especially the running mind, the monkey mind. It's a great plant to work with. So look into that. You can look at it as a form of a tincture. You can also look at it as a single tincture note, or you can look at it as a tea as well. And just using it about 2 to 3 times a day consistently, you will see a big difference. It's one of my favorite plants to work with, especially with people who are, I work with some people who are weaning off of antidepressants or maybe SRIs, and their doctor has suggested them, oh yeah, it's great for you to get off of it, or maybe we're working on a protocol and to go more of a naturopathic way. This has been very supportive for them. So I don't know if that resonates with you, Ruth. I'm just reading your other message. I don't know how to relax and release. It wasn't to keep going and going. Yeah. So I would definitely say St. John's wort is really great. Another plant that was coming up that is really good is nettle. Stinging nettle is really good. They actually work pretty well together. Don't use too much. Those are very potent medicine. Dosage is a whole other layer as well, but I'm sure you can find your local herb place and see if there's something that aligns. So I hope that helps. Have you found that the plant medicine ultimately leads people back to their connection with God? So how do I say this? When I tune into God, universe, the unseen, whatever that you connect with, I see that there's no separation. What plant medicine does, and the cosmic joke, is it actually shows you, right? And it shows your divinity of as who you are. It shows you in solitude, in silence, and going in. So if you look in and you look up, for example, DNA, like your DNA, right? There is so much research, and I actually did a full interview. It's on my channel. I posted it with Colleen Ariel, who I'm also doing a retreat with next year. We're doing plant medicine retreats together. Such a great teacher sister of mine. I've been going to her for about 5+ years, and she's the reason why I've really been on this path. I've healed a lot of things. She's one of the main people that I've been able to heal and heal such deep elements that honestly, I'll do another video on this, but honestly, I probably wouldn't be talking to you right now on this earth plane if it wasn't for her and certain other people in my life. So, when I sat with her with plant medicine, specifically madre, and then also going deeper into my ancestral herbal medicines that I've learned growing up with my grandmother, and then other modalities that I studied, I think one of the biggest things that I learned was that you are God within. That is the joke. That is the connection. A lot of people think that it is someone in the sky that they connect to and that they are basically, less of. And that's where we give our power away to the divinity of self and the divinity of the unseen. It is a co creation. Right. So everything in this world, for example, we as humans have created it. We've created the suffering, we've created the pain, we've created the happiness, we've created the ecstasy, we've created all the shadow, the light, all of it. We are all part of that. And when we work with plant medicines, it ultimately does connect you back to self, which connects you back to the unseen and whatever that is to you. That could be God, that could be universe, that could be because your DNA writes God within, right? Which is essentially in Hebrew. It writes that with the letters. If you look it up, DNA and God, it shows that. Science and scientists will not put that in writing because based on the practice at that level, it doesn't connect. However, through the evolution of metaphysical and the unseen, we're seeing a lot of well-renowned scientists such as Greg Braden, who I love his stuff. He does amazing podcasts. Highly would suggest looking to his work because for years he's been talking about the programming of people on a physical, biological standpoint and how it connects to the spirit and the unseen and how science actually shows it mirrored when we shift the perspective of how we read that physics. So yeah, it definitely does. 100%. I'm happy you asked this. And that's whatever that is to you. And I also want to say that everyone believes in something. Even people will say atheists don't believe in something. They believe in something. Everyone believes in something. No one here doesn't believe in anything, right? But it brings you deeper into connection of self. Now, I will say we can't just give our power away and expect that if you sit a 10-day dieta in Costa Rica with Bobensana and Madre and Campo and breathwork and all the things that you're simply going to bibbity bobbity boo. It is work, right? We got to go and do those deep works. We got to sit in solitude. We got to integrate properly. We got to shift our diet. There's a preparation to welcome these plants in so they can support you and also guide you for the rest of your life. Once you sit with them once, they help and support you whenever you need that help for the rest of your life. So that's something that you feel called to, you're curious about. I put my website in the description, TikTok, it's in my link in my bio. You can look it up and see if there's maybe a retreat. We have one that's happening in November. That's our next one. We have one that's in Costa Rica, Brazil, that's happening in October. That's our next one as well. And then we have Costa Rica in February, and then Peru as well in April. So there's a lot of exciting things, and I'm collaborating with some amazing medicine carriers, such as the Yuwanawa tribe. I'm also working with 𝐿'Ariel, who's been in this work for over 20 plus years, and longer than that. And also, I'm going down to see Don Miguel, who's been working with this since he was a young child, comes from a lineage of many medicine carriers. And yeah, it's such a gift to be able to welcome our community to do that. So if that's something you're interested in, feel free to share. Just reading your comments. Yeah, but we all are a small piece of God, and the very thing we were looking for was within us the whole time. Exactly. It's almost funny when you figure it out. Yeah, it's like this running joke, right? You think it's over here, and that's why I always say, like, our job here is to let go and dissolve the distractions, the things that are here to keep us confused of who we are and how we're connected. And where these plant medicines really help us is they sit us, bringing us back to the most natural part of our DNA, our blueprint, our who we are. And it clears out whatever that is not true. And it can really support us. The same thing when we do shadow work, the same thing when we work with the moons, when we can really go deep into those modalities and the natural rhythms of nature. So much healing can happen. I was an atheist for almost my life. most of my life until I took plant medicine. Yeah, I've had many people that were curious about 𝐾𝐭, and they've sat, and 𝐾𝐭 is like, fully in the body medicine. But I've also sat in ceremony circles and had people sharing an integration circle where they were also didn't believe in anything, didn't even think that that was even possible. And they sit in the ceremony and they're like, wow, there is something so much more that I don't even know. And it kind of opens this whole different opening because it works with the brain, the neurotransmitters. It works with the light body, and that is actually even more important in ways. And we're moving into this new era where we're understanding the importance of the light body is more important than the physical, because whatever happens in our environment, whatever happens in our life absorbs into the physical, right? So for example, if you're a child, you're 4 years old, you're in a home, you're constantly being neglected, constantly in a home, it's affecting your belief system. It's affecting your energy. That energy around you, the environment you're in is who you are, who you become. Sometimes it's such in a way that we're not even aware of how much it's impacting us until we leave it. And that's if we do. So these plant medicines really teach us from the beginning of time. It gets us to the root with the spaciousness and solitude for us to move through the resistance, move through the messages, move through all of it. It really teaches us so much. So I'm happy you shared that. I don't know if any of you have any other questions as we close down the Q&A. I've shared a lot. If you have any questions about your healing journey, if you have anything that you want to ask questions on with your support, maybe there's a question that you're going through right now, feel free to ask and I will answer. I have time for a couple more questions, maybe a few more. We'll see how quick they are. Also, the best way to work with me, because again, right now, those of you who are applying for one-on-one, I won't be able to work with you till fall. So if you're interested in one-on-one, please apply Rebirth program as well as the retreats. They're filling up. So please apply to the retreat application. This is important. It's a screening process to make sure that you are able to sit with the medicines. Those who are aligned will be reached out to from my team or myself. And yeah, it's super exciting to be able to offer this space and healing. And yeah, you can give yourself a walk through the website and see what feels good. It's just shikachica.com. It's all down below. Okay, anything else? Other updates I want to share with you if you have any questions, put them in the chat. And if you have questions in the replay, put them in. I'll do another Q&A and I'll keep them in posted for when I'm back on the space. I have a few videos that I want to record for you, but I'm kind of curious, what are some things that you would like to learn more about? What are some topics? What are your biggest frustrations in your journey right now? What are your biggest, I guess you can say, places where you're struggling, blocks in your journey right now? Feel free to ask and put it down below. And I'd love to do a video on it. I also have a really exciting thing that's coming up this fall. And I would love to connect with as many of you as possible via Zoom to understand your story so I can help create this amazing space. This is really going to be such a beautiful offering. And it's for people who are really serious about healing their sacral, generational trauma. If they have in their family reproductive diseases or blocks, or they want to heal physical elements with plant medicine, and maybe they've tried therapy, it didn't work. Maybe you've tried medications, it didn't work. And you've had just maybe a traumatic experience for some people through Western medicine. Or maybe you're on this journey of awakening within yourself and you're ready to work alongside with nature and the rhythms of nature and feel free in your life, feel free in yourself and step into that divinity. Please send me an email. Let me know that you watched this video and let's connect. I have time to connect this week and maybe Monday, and then I will be away going to Peru. So we'll have to connect in August and you can connect there. Latasha, okay, so what is a good plant for healing the body? What part of the body? What are the elements? There's so many questions I need to know, right? So what are the elements? How long have you had this part of the body that you want to heal? You have thousands upon thousands upon thousands upon millions upon billions of plants that are there to help you. So just asking me what plant is there to heal, what exactly is it that you want to heal? How do you remove blockages? Like, I have been trying to find work that aligns with me. I would like to work from home. So my biggest thing with blockages is understanding that what is the pattern and the belief that makes you think that you can't work at home, to tune into that. Where have you worked before? And what was your experience of that? What is your reasoning for going into working from home? These are all good questions to tune into and to ask yourself. Yeah, there's so many questions. I feel like I am higher self. Message my team and feel free to fill out the rebirth program, because this is something I help people do. Is I teach people, I help people to move from that space of frustration and work with the plants and generational healing and patterning, and to move into that freedom of life, to really move into the metamorphosis of the life that they want to, clearing out. This is not a place that is for people who just want bibbity bobbity boo. This is for people understanding that when they do go into this work, when we work together, is like your whole life is going to shift in many ways, but also owning that responsibility of the shifts that will happen. Skin issues. So eczema, is it rashes? What type of skin issues? These are all things to ask. Also, if anyone else has any questions, let me know. I'm wrapping it up. So let me know if you have any other questions. Just looking at TikTok if there's anything else too. If you have any questions as well. So with eczema, any skin issues are related to inner child healing. I'm going to go into, while you're letting me know what exactly the skin issue is. When you look at skin issues, it's all around your child. It's a trauma that happened as a child that made you feel a lack of belonging. That's what skin, eczema, rashes, dry skin, and all relates to inner child and root. So that's the first thing I will share with people. Best thing to tune into is ask yourself, when did I have that skin issue? When did it start in my life? When was the earliest time? What was going on in this time of the skin issue? The body reacts as a way to kind of reject itself when it feels rejection in the skin. Right? That's why for some people, skin disease is a big thing. That's very ancestral. Skin disease, for example. There's so much I can share with you on plants, but please let me know in the chat. What are the things? Be specific. Don't just say healing the body. Like, tell me what exactly you're struggling with so I can make a video on it and I can help you out. And then also, if you feel called to work with me one-on-one on that, I can help you. I work with herbal medicines, and honestly, it's so much fun for me because I just go deep into studying and really getting into knowing your body, and we figure out what works best for you. Because like I said, if you have 5 people who have anxiety, there's no way that every person is going to have the same protocol or medicines. Some people might, there is that time that it could happen, but your body is so unique. It's so beautifully unique. And in that sense, same thing with the plants. There are certain plants that want to work with you. And, just like if you're in a room, you're networking, there's certain people, you're going to sneeze. Excuse me. There's certain people that you're going to just gravitate to, that you're going to align with, that you're going to have things in common with. And it's the same thing. Hey, I help with this. Oh, no way. I help with this too. Let's work together. Great. Awesome. That's how the plants work. So it's like really going into getting to know your body, your spirit, your physical, emotional, all those layers. I go deep into asking people a lot of questions. Just like the loved one that I just helped out recently, like it was like an hour and a half that we were just asking questions at this one client last week that just started with me and working with her and her baby. And we went deep into like, what was her history? Like, what does her family have? What are you coming in with? What are your intentions? What do you want to heal? And getting into that mentality that like, you are here to have a free healing life, right? We are in a space of suffering, but with that, there is an opportunity for us all to help each other move out of that and be free. So that's where the plants and nature comes back. It's coming back to those natural rhythms, and we just have to come back. It's something in your bones. Just know that it is a remembering that is within you, and your body already knows what to do. I think I'm going to leave it at that. But I am so excited to connect with you all in the future. Please follow along for more. We have a breath work that's coming up. It's my last one before I leave. I'd love to see you there for the moon cycle. You can register for that on the website and on my link tree. So you can go check that out. And all the plant medicine retreats. If you're feeling excited for plants, if you want to go deep, if you really want to step into your divinity of self and you're ready for that, please go take a walk through the website, 𝐃𝐨𝐬𝐤𝐿, press retreats, look at the retreats that are there. There's some beautiful retreats working with Madre, Cambo, Bobinsana, Sweat Lodge. There's so much with the 𝐤𝐤𝐤 tribe, with Colleen Ariel, with myself, being there for some of them as well. And some of them are just, going to be spaces where we come and we receive, like the one with the 𝐤𝐤𝐤. You're coming and sitting. I'm sitting there as well. We are just there to receive and learn and humble ourselves in our hearts and heal. And Costa Rica, we have in Peru next year. I'm so excited. It's a 10-day deep dive into your healing. And you'll be held so deeply with integration, with support, with breath work, with Cambo, with Bobinsana, with Madre, with water blessing. There's so much you're getting put into. So if you're interested in that, you can go and apply. And then we have the 3-day retreat in Costa Rica in November. That's filling up quite quickly with 2 Madre ceremonies, a water blessing, song activation, voice activation, integration circle, and music alchemy, deep music healing medicine that is so deep. So go and apply for that. It's all on the website. Feeling completely lethargic, have progressed in the Taurus rising. So I don't think that's it. I also have for freeze response and creative. Any suggestions? So Lydia, if you're interested in that, email my team or myself and we can chat. Again, there's so many layers to plant medicine. It's not one of those things where this will be good for that. Take that. Like, we need to get to the root of your healing. This is how I work. I don't just look at the symptoms. We help the symptoms, but we get to the root and symptoms. It's not just one thing to support your body to heal itself, right? And for you, again, to step into whatever you may be resisting within yourself is what I'm sharing with you personally. So stay in touch, everyone. Thank you for joining. I love you all so, so much. And I'm looking forward to many more lives. Probably not soon because I'll be away, but best way to work with me is one-on-one and honestly retreats. That's what we need right now. We need to come together. So don't forget to stay connected on here. Follow, like, subscribe, share with friends. If you know anyone that feels aligned, who wants a space of community and wants to heal their body and their being and their spirit, feel free to share the website as well, shikachica.com. Okay. I will see you all so much. Thank you for being who you are, and I'll see you soon. Bye.